All right, welcome to the rundown on NFL End Zone, talkSPORT's dedicated YouTube channel, and here on talkSPORT's CTV channel as well, because we are live in New Orleans from Radio Row ahead of Super Bowl 59. I'm Will Gavin, the legend that is Brian T. Smith, alongside me right now. It's Tuesday morning, and we're still recovering from the night before, because last night, opening night, we got to spend time with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles, speaking with the players, the coaches, the owners of both those teams, and really getting a feel for the start of this huge Super Bowl week. And it is a huge week ahead of us, Brian, right? We're going to be here on Radio Row. We got interviews with Hall of Famers, current players, people from the other worlds of sport, from golf and from UFC, from boxing, all coming down to join us here on Radio Row as we build up to Sunday, the biggest event in American sports, the Super Bowl.
Laissez bon temps rouler! Well, this is the show that doesn't end, right? Because we are in the city of New Orleans, and we were talking about on the rundown in London not that long ago, that this is the city to have the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. And you get here, and you're and I'm from here, so I am biased. I don't have Chiefs bias, I have New Orleans bias, but you get here and you're just reminded there's an energy here. The players seem to enjoy it. The media enjoys it. There's a reason the NFL loves to come back to New Orleans. And you mentioned the access, and we have so much at talkSPORT, our Facebook page, our YouTube channel. Be sure and subscribe to that. It just doesn't end. And this is all building toward the game, a huge, huge Super Bowl with historical implications to where the Chiefs win this thing. They are the greatest team in NFL history in terms of a dynasty, in terms of history, because no one has done this before. But you also have an Eagles team that's out for revenge, that has Saquon Barkley. Nick Sirianni has a boulder on his shoulder. I'm so into right now. I cannot wait till Sunday, and to be able to do all this in New Orleans for talkSPORT is just an absolute blast, man.
Look, coming up on the show, we're going to be seeing those interviews from opening night. We're going to be there. It was held in the Superdome, the legendary stadium of the New Orleans Saints, a place with obviously so much history with this city, with everything that happened with Hurricane Katrina, and when it became such a bastion of hope for the city at that point, and the way that, really, they've spent over $500 million renovating that place, because where most cities would tear the stadium down, rebuild, they're doing it. I mean, Buffalo, they're on their third stadium in 20 years.
They did it the English way. They only in London would you not tear something down because it is historical. It actually has meaning. The Super Bowl has meaning in the city. You're 100% right. I was talking to somebody yesterday who I used to work with, and there's talk in Houston that they might have to, with NRG Stadium, which you've been to and covered the Super Bowl there, that thing was built in 2002. And it might be going, or they may have to do a complete renovation of that, and they're battling about that right now. The Superdome was never going to go away, even after Katrina, even after you had all the evacuees in there, and it was, not really safe to be in there. They could have taken this thing down at any point, but we were on the carpet last night, on the field, Will, and the outside needs a little landscaping. The inside of the Superdome is state-of-the-art right now. The bass, I was talking with Tom, who does all our great production. The bass, you could feel it shaking your whatever's down here, your liver take some so hits. Specific. In New Orleans, it's a great place to have it. And I also think that the crowd on Sunday night is just going to be absolutely fantastic, because it's either absolute love or absolute hate, and that's what you want in sports.
And listen, when we're getting excited about this, and there's so much, any Super Bowl was exciting, right? It doesn't matter. And some of the best ones I've covered, and this is number 10 for me, is that, in cities like Houston, where you mentioned, which is not necessarily the most touristy destination, Minnesota, where for half the week it was minus 25 degrees centigrade. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit for our American viewers. I apologize. It's cold, is what it is. It's bleeding cold. I still had a great time because the city put on such an event. But I think one of the most insightful things Brian T. Smith says all week will be your liver takes some damage in New Orleans. Because for me, this is my, I think, 4th time here in New Orleans, and it's my favorite city in America for having a good time, for the food, for the drink, for the just atmosphere, and for the people. Like every camp that we've got in so far, every person we've met on every gate, every place that we've gone, it reminds me of that Spirit of London 2012 that we had going on, where all the volunteers were so amazing around the
Super
Olympics.
Friendly chat, thank you for coming. We're glad to have you here, because they know. That's the other thing. New Orleans is a host city, right? A true host city. They know, and I grew up here, and so I've seen a lot. They know that without these things, if these things are not going away, but they ever were, it is not the same. They need these Super Bowls and the Final Fours and the national championships and all these events. New Orleans thrives on that, depends on that. So to do it, and they do it right, it just has a different feel. It feels more to me like like you're in Paris, or for the Olympics. I was in Paris for the Olympics in the summer. It feels more like a European city, that type of vibe, a Euros type of vibe, but it's the NFL and it's the football and it's Patrick Mahomes and Saquon Barkley and the Eagles and the Chiefs.
And look, we're going to break down the game in a bit more detail once we've heard from the Eagles and the Chiefs. We're going to reflect on some of the things that we heard on opening night and also our vibe about being around the teams, how it felt to actually what they were putting out there, how they were approaching this thing, like whether they felt tight, whether they felt kind of up for it.
Because I don't know what you thought. I picked up two completely different vibes. We're not giving anything away, but from the Chiefs and Eagles. And I sometimes you read into that, and it's false hope, or it's not what it is. Some of that, though, ends up being true, and I thought it was very interesting how both teams reacted during media night.
And look, what I really love about when the Super Bowl comes to a city like New Orleans, it is when it really takes on the flavor of the city that it's in. I've always said this about halftime shows. I'd much rather see, like when the Super Bowl was in LA and it was Dr. Dre and it was Snoop Dogg and it was in Compton and it was like, it had that feel of like that side of Los Angeles.
It had some authenticity to it.
100%. And even when it's in Miami with that huge Latin culture they have there, and then the halftime show with Shakira and J-Lo, it just felt so Miami. And yeah, Kendrick Lamar's not necessarily a New Orleans act, but he is a guy who kind of embodies that same kind of dirty South feel.
But Kendrick Lamar's got some grit to him, right? Like New Orleans is filled with grit. Kendrick Lamar has a decent amount of grit.
But with on top of that, like the people doing the national anthem, doing the America the Beautiful, doing Lift Every Voice and Sing, like all of those are New Orleans natives who have gone on to be big stars. Last night during opening night, there was brass bands playing, there were marching bands, there was like...
You had brass bands in the stands with the fans. That's what I love about New Orleans. For me, New Orleans is Jazz Fest and all the history and the culture dating back hundreds of years and the food. And I mean, that's the other thing, right? You walk down, not Bourbon Street, you walk down Royal Street this morning, coming into the convention center, coming to Radio Row, and the pavement's kind of out of whack, and actually it's felt very safe for thus far. There's military members everywhere. Streets are blocked off in a good way. You have to do that for security. They've washed down the sidewalks. There's this smell.
He's suggesting that they've slightly zhuzhed up the city a little bit for all
there
the
was
people
there was
coming
a
in.
Disinfectant on the sidewalk that I hadn't smelled before. I think they put a little extra money to clean this place up. It looks good, but it's also very authentic. It's very real. And you're in the Superdome last night, and you look at the colorings, and it's bold and it's aggressive and it's funky, right? New Orleans is a funk. Like, I'm not really able to say the F word, funk. But New Orleans is a funky city, man. And
you're a funky man, Brian T. Smith. Don't let anyone tell you any different at any point, sir.
And the Super Bowl brings that out.
Look, before we get into what we saw on opening night and hearing from the teams and hearing from the players and coaches, you did go to Roger Goodell's press conference yesterday, the commissioner of the NFL. There's a lot of quite positive stories, I feel like, going into this off-season. Often we're looking for the controversies at this time of year. And yes, he did speak on, the Justin Tucker allegations. And yes, he did speak on some of the disciplinary stuff around the NFL. He was asked about the refereeing and whether there is a favoritism towards the Chiefs. It's fair to say he laughed that off.
Ridiculous theory. He said ridiculous theory. Let's see how...
Sounds like something someone would say if they were fixing games. I'm not going to lie.
Oh my God. Let's see how ridiculous it is.
That was a joke. So that's not representative of talkSPORT in any way, shape or form. Just in case the commissioner's watching, we love you and we don't believe that of your sport.
This is what happens in New Orleans. It gets a little off the chain. But let's see how ridiculous it is during the game. I mean, what's going to happen, Will, in this game on Sunday if there is a call that drives NFL fans crazy? But yeah, he mentioned an international Super Bowl, and I thought this was very interesting. We had this at talkSPORT, an international team. That's not been mentioned for a while, because once the Jacksonville Jaguars got the approval to renovate their stadium for $1.4 billion, okay, they're not moving over here. Who would move over here, or does the NFL expand? Roger Goodell does not say anything unless there's meaning behind it. He obviously was laying the groundwork for maybe having an international team. That's where the NFL is at in 2025.
It is fascinating because we know they've had conversations with Shad Khan in London, and we know that there is this international expansion. We're expecting for Dublin to be announced pretty much any day now.
NFL in Dublin, that's pretty cool.
Unbelievable. We're already going to Spain this year, we're already going to Germany. You'll hear it all, of course, live and exclusive for the international series on the talkSPORT network. But that's the first time I've heard the franchise mentioned recently. And they talk about the Super Bowl. Something that is repeatedly said over and over again is that they want it in a city where there is a team. It's almost like a reward for a team. They want somebody who's going to host it. They want to draw attention to a city.
You build a new stadium for $3 billion. Okay, we'll give you a Super Bowl. That's how the NFL does business.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's why I've always kind of curtailed it a little bit, because I still think we're a way off anything like that. Was there anything else from that press conference that caught your attention? Any other moments that really kind of stood out to you that we need to be paying attention to and discussing this week?
I thought the biggest thing was he was asked multiple times, not so much about the bias, but about NFL, and I know it's a pet peeve for you, NFL referees. And, we go back to the spot for Josh Allen and the Bills, and it could have been, you could have a different team in the Super Bowl, because it does appear on video, we've seen that a billion times, that Josh Allen got that first down. The Chiefs ended up taking it down, scoring, taking the lead, and didn't give it back. He mentioned, though, Will, that new technology could be coming in, more replay capability. Is there a bias? No, unless there is proof. Can the NFL be better and smarter and have its own version of VAR, a better VAR, more like tennis with the Hawkeye cam? There's no reason for me in 2025, with everything going on in the world, AI, the NFL can't have more technology to improve the accuracy of spotting the ball, of everything that's reviewable. That was a big thing for him to mention. Again, Goodell doesn't say it unless he wants it to happen or he's laying the foundation. That's why he mentioned that.
Look, I just want to highlight the brilliant work that Brian's doing this week, that everyone down here, the brilliant team are doing down here this week, who have come out from talkSPORT, because there's some huge storylines that we're not even going to have time to get into on this show. We're not going to have time to talk about Myles Garrett requesting a trade, Cooper Kupp from the Rams being pushed away on a trade, but we're going to have players from those teams on here at Radio Row this week. We're going to be speaking with coaches. We're going to be, those things will be covered. So go and subscribe to talkSPORT End Zone, our dedicated NFL YouTube channel. Go and check it out on all of the social medias. Check out the work at talksport.com as well, the brilliant stuff that Brian's writing, and Paul and the team out here as well, because there's so much going on here at the Super Bowl. You do not understand the scale of this thing, but I think you'll get an idea of it up next when we take you inside the madness that is opening night. Welcome back to talkSPORT End Zone, road to the Super Bowl. And, we're seeing the final moments of opening night as the light have come on and it starts to die down a little bit after 2 hours of utter madness. Just on this field over the last few hours, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Kansas City Chiefs have been out here ahead of Super Bowl 59, speaking with the media, meeting with the fans, having a whale of a time to kick off the week. So let's start off with the Eagles. And the first Eagle I spoke to coming off the field, cornerback Avonte Maddox. Well, first of all, man, taking this in, 2 years on from the last time the Eagles were here, what's this event like for you?
It's great. I mean, it's an opportunity. It only really happens maybe once in a lifetime, and I got the opportunity to do it twice, and I cherish every moment of it, and it's just a great feeling to be able to be here.
What's it like when you know this is meant to be a business trip, you've got a game to play on Sunday, and yet this is how your week kicks off?
Yeah, it's definitely a business trip, but you got to take it. You got to enjoy the moments. You got to be where your feet is, and right now we are in here, so, we're going to take advantage of this opportunity and, get to speak to the media and show your personality and let people get to know you off of the field. So, this is a great event for a lot of athletes and players that make the Super Bowl to get to show their personalities.
Talk to us about the unique challenges of the fact you're going to be going up against Patrick Mahomes, this dominant Chiefs team that have been here so many times over the last 6 years, and what they represent as an offense for you guys facing them.
It says it all. They've been here for the past 3 years, and, Patrick Mahomes is a great quarterback, and, he knows where to put the ball. His offense clicks when he's out there. They're all about timing, and, he makes plays that you don't really see being made, and, it's going to be a good game, and we're excited to do it. Be there.
What do you guys have to do to beat him?
Well, just contain them. It's hard to contain them, but you make sure you get your preparation and the hard work we put together at practice, and we go out there and do our job, play with details, fundamental, and contain them as much as we can.
Avonte Maddox, part of that brilliant Eagles defense, who are going to have to try and stop Pat Mahomes this weekend, and a guy who's going to be getting after him is Josh Sweat, who spoke with our very own Brian T. Smith here at opening night.
What does Vic Fangio do so well with you guys to get the best out of this defense all season?
He's grumpy. He's really particular with what he wants, but it's simple and it's to the point, and it's, we can all just, it's easy,
We've seen these last few playoff games, the defensive line, the entire defense. I mean, it's a reason a lot of NFL fans believe you guys are going to win the Super Bowl because of this defense. As good as the offense is, Has it been a season-long thing to where you guys are just been getting better and better at getting to this game?
Oh yeah, for sure. Because at the beginning of the season it wasn't the best, but we turned it around really quickly. I mean, we started tackling better, turning the ball over, and after we got that, it was nothing to stop us because we were already physical, we were already playing fast, but we just had to get a couple things straight.
At one point, you guys were 2-2. You had the bye week. Nick shaved his head. You've been the best team in the NFL in a lot of ways since then. How would you compare the early season, 2-2, you get the bye week, and then what's happened since then?
That's what I'm saying. Like, the biggest part for us, we had to fix the missed tackles, and I mean, we did. Then we weren't getting a lot of turnovers. We got the turnovers, but then it just started clicking. It started clicking, and it built. I mean, you can see it built every week. Every week it just got better and better. So those are different.
When you watch Patrick Mahomes on tape, the numbers maybe aren't as great, but he just wins and wins and wins, and it's 4 quarters, it's every play. What do you see when you look at him defensively that you guys have to try to do to contain him as much as you can?
I mean, he's getting it done when it matters.
That's a good point.
That's the biggest part. So, but he can make plays anywhere. Like, he can run, he can throw it. So, I mean, just getting them whenever you can, you know what I'm saying? So we got to capitalize on anything whenever we can because he can make you pay for it. And I mean, as you see, like, he's won a lot of close games. He just always gets it done. So you got to take advantage.
Josh Sweat speaking with our very own Brian T. Smith. What about the offensive side of the ball? That offensive line, what they have done for Saquon Barkley this season has been absolutely sensational. And we spoke with the man who had to replace team legend Jason Kelce this season. Cam Jurgens spoke with us here at opening night.
There was so much talk off-season how the Eagles replaced Jason Kelce. He's been very supportive. Obviously, he's a huge fan of the team still. But what's it been like knowing that he had, you have his support. He follows you guys as much, and what type of knowledge or just even help have you been able to kind of glean from him as the season's gone on?
Quite a bit. I mean, he's taught me so a lot. Just learning.
He almost said like he if he could have handpicked somebody, you would have been his replacement.
Yeah, probably. Probably. I feel like I try to play the game similar to how he did. 100 miles an hour, hard as you can, leave it out there. I feel like, he played this game so hard, and it's just easy to follow that role.
When it comes to Barkley, people talk about all the amazing athletic talent, but they also mention the humbleness of him. He really does fit in with his team. He always goes out of his way to pay respect to the offensive line and thank you guys all the time. It's not just about him and his numbers. How much does that help, just the chemistry and the bond between him as a running back and you guys as an offensive line?
Yeah, I think Saquon is one of my favorite teammates I've ever had. He's just one of the guys. It's so fun to hang out, play alongside him. All of his awards are our awards, so we love when he does well.
One more for you. I really appreciate it. At one point this season, you guys were 2-2. You were going in the bye week. There was a lot. It was Philly. There was a lot of talk. Nick shaved his head. Fans love to joke about that. But since then, you guys have, in a lot of ways, you have been the best team in the NFL. You just keep winning. You're blowing up opponents out. What happened early in the season that you guys are maybe able to find it and maybe with that bye week recollect yourselves and figure out what you really want to accomplish this year as a team?
It's a long season. You always want to get better as the season goes along, and I feel like a lot of teams start out super hot and fizzle out, and we started out a little slower than we wanted, and I feel like we're playing our best football of late, and that's the time when you want to play it. I feel like we just found a lot of guys that love playing together, very determined, hard workers, and we just kept fighting. Even the games we didn't play well and we didn't win, it wasn't because of lack of effort, and we just kept getting coached, kept getting better.
We're here still at opening night, and look, we spoke with a lot of the Eagles who were here 2 years ago, but what does it feel like to be at a huge event like this in front of 20,000 fans, speaking to the media if you're a rookie? The very Ina Smith out of Texas A&M caught up with our very own Brian T. Smith earlier this evening.
Having spent the season now around Jalen Hurts, there's people still, I feel like, don't fully understand his talent, his personality. You're around him all the time. What is Jalen Hurts like as a person, as a teammate, and as a quarterback?
Man, he's a great leader, a great guy, you know what I'm saying? The media tries to paint this picture of him of being like a real tough guy and a hard-nosed guy. He's cool, he's chill, he's laid. He's really an old head for real. So if you talk to him, then you'll know that he's a real chill, laid back guy.
A lot of players too for the Eagles. They'll talk about for all the crazy stuff that Saquon Barkley does on the field. He's incredibly humble and a real teammate type of guy. When you're around him and during practice in the locker room, what do you pick up from Saquon?
Man, everything that he does, the way he walks, the way he talks, you know what I'm saying? The way he lifts in the weight room, the things that he does, is you can always try to pick his brain. And he's been doing it for a long time, so whatever knowledge that he has, I'm always willing to go ahead and listen.
Seems like one of the biggest strengths for this team all season has been the offensive line. They lose Jason Kelsey last year. You have Cam Jurgens come in and their best running game in the NFL. They're protecting the quarterback, on and on. What makes this offensive line so tough to deal with if you're the defense?
Man, the connection. You know what I'm saying? The boys is tight. The boys is real tight, man. They ain't finna let nobody touch Jay, I promise you, and they definitely not finna let nobody touch Say. So, no, for sure, they have a great connection, a great bond with each other, and they work out with each other all the time. They're doing everything with each other all the time. Real true brotherhood, for sure.
You obviously have Texas ties. To be this close relatively in New Orleans in the Superdome, one win away, you contributed this season in a lot of ways from winning the World Championship. What's that mean to you, just at where you're at in your football career?
Man, I'm thankful, honestly. I'm thankful. Job is not finished, though. You know what I'm saying? Job is definitely not finished. We here on a business trip. We here to get the job done. You know what I'm saying? For sure. But I'm definitely truly honored and blessed, giving all the praise and glory to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and I will continue to do that. And, man, without him, none of this would be possible, for sure.
Last one, I appreciate it. Feels like half the country, half the world really wants the Chiefs to have a three-peat, a dynasty. Half the world does not want them at all. What's it like being in the middle of all this, knowing how much people either love the Chiefs or seem to really hate them right now?
Yeah, man, it's been an interesting process with the whole
social media.
Yeah, all of that. But, you know, at the end of the day, man, we're here to play football. So it's a game. It's going to come down to one winner. Hopefully we come out on top.
Rookie Ina Smith. And look, one of the big storylines here on Super Bowl week is about the Kansas City Chiefs. Are they getting a little bit of leniency from the refs? Are they getting the calls they want? Well, we spoke with Eagles owner Jeffrey Lurie about exactly that.
Jeffrey, your team's about to play in the Super Bowl, a Kansas City team that there's this perception that the NFL, the refs, Rob, we talked about this today, that they're biased toward it. How do you want your players and your team to handle that potential situation?
Yeah, you know, the refs do the best job they can, and the best way to handle that is to not play in a close game and to do what we did with Washington and, dominate. And after a while, that's the only way. I mean, there's so many games in the NFL determined by a call. You know, obviously what happened with 1 minute and 48 seconds 2 years ago is something you got to be resilient and deal with, right? So it's up to us to make sure, that we play a great football game on Sunday, and that kind of eliminates all the thoughts.
So that was the Eagles side of the ball. The Eagles aren't going for a three-peat, though. That is for the Kansas City Chiefs. And up next, we're going to be speaking with the great and the good from the team looking to make history. So we're going to start off with owner Clark Hunt, who gave us a brilliant one-on-one interview about just how proud he is to be here and maybe making history. Has it sunk in yet, the legacy that you could create for your team and in the league, etching your name in the history book this weekend?
Well, last year was the first time that I'd heard somebody use the word dynasty to describe the Chiefs. And I'll say the same thing that I said then, which is I think that's something for somebody else to tell you, and it's something that's best done in retrospect when you can see the entire body of work. So I accept the fact that a lot of people will refer to this time period of Chiefs football as a dynasty, but I'm happy for them to be the ones to point it out and not me.
We heard from Roger Goodell today about the idea of the future of the international game, more games internationally, potentially even a franchise and a Super Bowl he talked about today. You've always been a great supporter of the growth internationally, so seeing 8 games maybe this season and the talk of 16 in the near future, what do you see for the future of international NFL?
Yeah, well, I think it's been one of the most important initiatives of the NFL over the last decade, growing the number of games that we're playing internationally. I think also giving the teams the right to market in different countries has been very beneficial. The Chiefs have embraced that in Germany and Mexico. We've built sizable fan bases there. Obviously, getting to play games, regular season games, really accelerates that growth. I agree with Roger that we need to continue to expand, and whether that's 8 games or 16 games, it's important that we embrace that opportunity, play regular season games in more countries around the world. It'll just help the fan base to continue to grow.
Clark Hunt speaking with us here at opening night. Good answer on the international, by the way. More games in London would be lovely. What about the offensive line? Left tackle, as he is now, Joe Tooney, an all-pro left guard, suddenly moving out to left tackle. Let's hear from him.
We all hear about Andy Reid, but you're around him every time. What makes him so unique, so special, so likable, but guys also want to run through a wall for him as a head coach?
Yeah, he works so hard. He's always at the facility, always working. He comes up with great ideas. He's got a great sense of humor. So he's such a smart guy. Loves his guys. So he's just a great coach all around.
Roger Goodell was asked today about this whole crazy theory that the NFL or whatever is biased towards you guys, which I can't even imagine what that's like being on the field, knowing that. But what is it like when you I'm sure you hear some version of that the last few weeks. Does that fuel you? Do you just ignore it all? How do you take that as a professional football player in the NFL who's in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, just being a part of the games are so intense, and I feel like the games are always just the games. I feel like there's never any I don't know anything. I just try and focus on what I focus on, and try and do the best I can, and let the chips fall, however they may, and but I just try and stay, focused on what I can control.
This has been a year for Patrick Mahomes where the numbers aren't absolutely off the charts, but in the end, all he does is win. He's still one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He might have the best game of his life on Sunday against the Eagles. What have you seen from him this year to where, once again, he's had all these changing pieces, but he has you guys back in the Super Bowl, and it seems like he just every year gets a little more mature and a little more confident?
Yeah, he's an incredible player, and he's just making plays left and right, whatever's needed for the team, and we've had a lot of guys come in and out, and he's just done a great job, keeping everybody, on the same page, and so it's been special to see.
Last one, I really appreciate it. Travis Kelce has a life that we can't even imagine, but he seems to be as committed as ever to winning, to setting the tone, to bringing you guys together. What's this year been like, kind of watching him? Because obviously he can't play forever, but it seems like he's more driven than ever to get this three-peat for the fans and for the team.
Yeah, he's always so locked in, focused whenever he's in the facility, always there. He's spent so much time there too, so it's incredible to see after all these years, the passion's still there, the energy, the time, and everything. So just very lucky to be able to play with him, and it's been awesome.
Let's go to the defensive side of the ball now. We'll hear from Leo Chenal in a moment, but first, Josh Uche, and we're going to hear all about them, about Spags, who'll be coming up shortly.
How does Steve Spagnuolo, in the toughest situations, get the best out of this defense, especially when you go like zero blitz, games on the line? And that to me is like, that's Steve Spagnuolo running the defense that's in the Super Bowl.
I think it comes down to the connection you build with your players and the connection they build through OTAs and through training camp. They're all connected. Everyone's connected on one line, one sound, one accord. The way coach starts off his meetings, it gets everybody synced in, one mindset. So it's no surprise when the bullets are flying, the pressure is on. Coach has everybody's undivided attention because it's something that's he's done since OTAs and camp, and all the guys are on one accord, one mindset. And it's a testament to the system he's put into place over years, the success he's had over the years, and you see why he's a Hall of Famer.
You were with the Patriots before the Chiefs. What do you see similar between the Chiefs and the Patriots, but also maybe some things that the Chiefs do well that you just really have enjoyed being a part of?
They're two totally different coaches, so it's hard for me to compare and put them in the same bucket. Coach Belichick was a defensive-minded guy. Coach Reid is an offensive-minded guy. I'd say the system, or the similarity I can say, is that the system and the formula holds true to success, and that's hard work, dedication. You can't cut any corners to it. And the expectations and the accountability demanded of the players in the building is high. So that's one of the similarities that I saw between them.
Appreciate the time. Good luck on Sunday. Thank you very much.
Josh Uche speaking with our very own Brian T. Smith, and I caught up with linebacker and kick blocker extraordinaire Leo Chenal earlier on this evening. I heard you talking a little earlier about the block against Denver. An unbelievable moment on the year, but for me it was the moment that really highlighted the Chiefs as a team who are just the most prepared of any team, the film watching, the fact that you saw that weakness in their line. So talk to us a bit about what Dave Taub does, what Steve Spagnuolo does for you in finding those weaknesses and being able to exploit them.
Yeah, like we had a lot of crazy games, crazy innings throughout the whole season, and it takes like every single guy, like, you know, obviously Pat, Trav, Chris, Bolton, like Trent, they're going to be making plays every game, but you got guys across the board like making plays, and like, some of it goes unnoticed. I mean, some of the biggest plays aren't at the end of the game, but Coach Spags has done such a good job at, like, I think he does the best job at like putting us in the fire. During training camp, he puts a lot on, like, especially like when I was a rookie, like he puts so much. He threw me at Mike, gave me all the play calls, and all right, good luck. You know, so he gets us ready in those situations, those tense situations, putting pressure on us in those situations to be able to play well and smooth and relaxed on game day. So I think, I mean, and he's just like a father figure to us. So like, he's going to test us like that, but he's going to be stern, but like he also brings us all in, and we want to go to war with him.
Do his play calls ever catch you by surprise like they do us?
Nah, he's crazy sometimes. Like he'll throw something out there. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's definitely Spags.
The end of that game against the Bills, when everyone is expecting it to fade to the left, the whole line goes left, and suddenly you've got two defensive backs blitzing through a hole. Like that just felt to me like the perfect Spags moment, the perfect call at the perfect time.
Yeah, I mean, if like one day he goes to heaven and he has a perfect scenario, he'd probably call zero blitz, like every single play call, goal line, short yardage, third down, everything. But no, yeah, it was good. Like the players on the field executed well, you know, disguising looks, making it look like different calls that we have. So, you know, it all came together.
How ready are you to tackle Saquon Barkley on Sunday?
How ready am I? Man, it takes a lot, man. It takes not just doing your job, but it takes a lot of guys. And, you know, one-on-one situations are tough with that dude. Like, you need the cavalry, you need the guys coming in and helping you out.
How are you guys approaching this differently maybe from the last 2 years?
I think we do a good job at like approaching it the same. You know, we don't want to hype ourselves too much, especially with the extra time here. The extra time we can use to our advantage, you know, extra film study, extra recovery, but that's about it. You know, we want to treat it as like a game so we don't get, you know, too hyped up.
One thing that really stands out from these interviews with defensive players is one name comes up time and time again, defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo. The guy is a legend and one of the really good guys in the league, and we caught up with him earlier this evening. Last 3 Super Bowl wins, we've always sought you out in the locker room afterwards because the grin, the energy every time. How do you keep getting up for this and keep staying hungry?
Well, I hope you're seeking us after this one because I'd rather you be with us in the winning locker room than the other way around. Listen, every time I'm blessed to be in the middle of this, I thank God for bringing me here. And it's just, we're very fortunate to have a group of guys that work really well together, the whole team, but even not just us specifically defensively. And we just hope we can come up with something good on Sunday.
It's interesting, we just spoke with Leo Chenal, and he said, you're the best at putting their feet to the fire all the way back in OTAs, right the way through. Is that what you enjoy?
Well, what I enjoy is being around these guys and challenging them. They challenge me, I challenge them. We always talk about Proverbs 27:17, which is iron sharpens iron, and our guys kind of live by that. They make each other better. And we have assistant coaches that push them all the time. The thing that's key, though, is they love to be pushed. That's what Leo's talking about. And he's one of the prime examples. I mean, he's just gotten better and better and better. And we love him and all those other guys.
And how do you stay innovative? How do you keep coming up with new stuff and keeping up with play calls that, I don't know, you know, like throw off Josh Allen on 4th down, for example?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we got fortunate on that particular play. Listen, we got a bunch of assistant coaches that have a lot of ideas, too. And we kind of toss them around during the week in the meetings and come up with a few for the game. Hopefully you get a chance to use them because sometimes those opportunities don't come up. And when you do use them, it's nice to have the confidence in the guys that are going to execute it to do it really well.
Your guy's been in this league a long time. Chris Jones, is he the best defensive player in the playoffs you've ever seen? Because postseason, I can't think of another.
Yeah, now he's really good interior. I mean, I'm sure there's guys we're forgetting about, but he's certainly right up there, and I'm hoping he could do the same thing on Sunday.
What kind of dude is he around the locker room?
He's great. I mean, listen, he's never had a bad day in his life. He always keeps it light. He's fun to be around.
Final one, just how does this defense compare to the last 3-4 years?
Well, they're all different. There's been
all like different children of yours.
Yeah, all different children. That's what my wife would say. But we love them. I mean, listen, they're great. This group is great to be around. I think they love being around each other, and you can't have a winning unit or a winning team unless they like working together, and our guys do that.
Spags, good luck for Sunday, and hopefully we'll see you in the locker room after the game.
I hope so. I hope we're doing this again.
Steve Spagnuolo, what better way to finish off our chats here from opening night as the stadium beginning to be taken down. I cannot wait for Sunday now. Hearing the players talking about it, listening to them get so hyped up, so many great matchups, and me and Brian are going to head back to Radio Row now, break it down, and tell you what else we've got coming up. Welcome back to Road to the Super Bowl from talkSPORT Endzone, your official dedicated NFL YouTube channel from talkSPORT and here on CTV as well. We're at Radio Row in New Orleans in this huge, I mean, you're only seeing our set here, which by the way looks very sexy, I have to say. Well done to all the production team on that. But we're in this cavernous center.
It's like an airplane hangar.
And there are all of the great and the good from the world's media have descended on this place, and you've just seen on the show from opening night how wild that was. Basically, this is that for an entire week where there's 160 different radio stations and media outlets, all the big names. Pat McAfee's just over there. Kay Adams down the far end. I just had a quick hello and a catch up with her. Like all of the great and the good around here.
All of your peeps. You've been doing this for a decade now. What do you get if you do the Super Bowl for a decade for talkSPORT? Because like in America, they're really into whatever the silver gift or the platinum jubilee gift. What do you get for 10 years?
I think it's actually more like
Danishes or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's actually more like a sobriety check. You have to make sure that you're just like, I've done my 10 years.
You have to check in every day with your counselor.
Yeah, exactly. So, look, it's such a huge event, and this game on Sunday, I can't help but, even with everything we learned last night that we're going to get into, I look at the history of Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. In 132 starts for the Chiefs, Mahomes has only been blown out, so lost by a touchdown or more, 5 times.
That's a great stat.
Like, they are not a team who
He's so
lose
good,
big.
man.
So I do not see them losing big. The Eagles and what they do on defense and their run game and the way that they'll shorten the game and run it down their throat, I can't see them losing big, which just suggests to me that somebody's getting the ball with 4 or fewer minutes, down a score,
and there's a
needing
drive
to go and win the Super Bowl.
And there's a drive, or they drive it down, and then someone gets the ball with 30 seconds left. We've seen Patrick Mahomes how many times do that. Well, I completely agree with you, and the vibe that I picked up from the Eagles was curiosity, and hey, we just rolled through the playoffs, and we put up 55 points, and people counted us out, and we were 2-2, and we're from Philly, and we've dealt with it all. But it wasn't just this supreme confidence world beaters. The vibe that I got from Kansas City, and this is just my honest opinion, is they've done it before, which they obviously have. They've won it before, which they obviously have. They've been tested all season. They've dealt with noise. They felt to me, and I hate using this comparison because it's almost unfair, they felt to me like the New England Patriots from the Dynasty era, and I was around those teams, and Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, and covered the 28-3 Super Bowl in Houston live, and there was just an air of inevitability, and we've joked about the Chiefs all season, and they're the luckiest team in NFL history, and they didn't deserve to win the Super Bowl, but, Will, they just win, and Patrick Mahomes has this air of supreme confidence to him last night. Travis Kelce to me, I hear a different Travis Kelce. I hear a Travis Kelce who now is hungry again. And I mean, seriously.
Somebody said, where are you going to be in 3 years'
He
time?
said I'm playing for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
So we all have been saying and writing at talkSPORT, rightfully so, hey, you bow the knee, you win the Super Bowl, you get the three-peat, you propose to Taylor Swift, and you go to Hollywood. Travis Kelce's like, I want to be doing this until I'm 40 because he's hungry again. He wants that three-peat. And the Chiefs it feels like destiny. They feel inevitable. For me, it comes down to Jalen Hurts. It comes down to 2 things. Jalen Hurts. Can Jalen Hurts, running fine, he's got to be able to stretch the field and throw the ball and keep the Chiefs secondary honest. But then the Chiefs offensive line, and we talked about those last night, Will, versus the Eagles pass rush and Vic Fangio. Whoever has the advantage for that, the game swings that way.
See, I feel like I'm with you on the vibes. I felt like what I couldn't figure out with the Eagles is I couldn't figure out whether it was tension.
Sure.
Or whether it was business. Like whether it was them just being, we're in business mode, we're not going to give anything away, we're going to be very locked down, we're going to give our stock answers, we're going to get it out of here, and we're going to work, and we're going to...
Like this is just a 45-minute show, and we're here to win the game.
And because sometimes teams can be like that, and it makes them look fantastic. Like not everyone is going to be the Seahawks going into their first Super Bowl of the Pete Carroll era against the Denver Broncos, all cock of the walk, throwing themselves around, having a party, and then blowing that team out. Most teams And so often this is the case. When you have Super Bowls that are either rematches or when you have Super Bowls where there's one team featured who have been there so many more times, I always will lean in that direction because they just know the business of the week. They know how to approach it. They know how to deal with a 2-week build-up and to game plan for it and all of that. And that's just where I'm so fascinated. Like, the Eagles coaching, the difference between 2 years ago and now, and there's this little bit hanging over them with Kellen Moore, but 2 years ago, they had 2 very good coordinators who would go on and take head coaching jobs elsewhere. This year, 2 very good coordinators. Only one of them probably going, Kellen Moore, to that very building we were in with the Saints.
Grumpy Vic Fangio.
Vic Fangio, it feels like you've got another head coach on the defensive side of things. And every defensive player we spoke to would run through a brick wall for Vic Fangio. Said they're never surprised when he calls crazy stuff. And it feels like that, if I'm trying to pick a matchup from this game, that Eagles defense against that Chiefs offense is the one that really gets me excited.
And it's the line versus the line because Patrick Mahomes, so a hidden stat this year, and you love your fascinating stats.
I do.
Patrick Mahomes' career-high sacks this year. They have struggled to protect Patrick Mahomes the entire year. And now you're in the Super Bowl going against Jalen Carter and Vic Fangio and just a defense going against Matthew Stafford and Jaden Daniels. It's just been a wrecking ball. And so if it is a final drive and Mahomes doesn't have time, and because he has to be the magician, right? He has to be Michael Jordan. He has to be LeBron James. He has to be the GOAT, Tom Brady, driving it down. But can he do this for 4 quarters? And if they're able to get to him and he's pressured and he throws a couple picks or he's always off balance, which we saw in the Tampa Bay Super Bowl with Ndamukong Suh and how they got to Patrick Mahomes, the Tampa Bay with Tom Brady, they won that Super Bowl because of the defense. There is a plan to get to the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. Travis Kelce's a little slower. Can DeAndre Hopkins step up? Hollywood Brown, on and on and on. They don't have a true number 1 receiver anymore. I mean, Xavier Worthy is their best receiver, and he's a rookie. He's a speedster. Everything about this on paper favors the Eagles except for the fact that it's Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Travis Kelce, and it feels like they're going to be the first team ever to win 3 straight Super Bowls.
I think it's fascinating when you talked about the Jalen Hurts stuff, right? Jalen Hurts, I think, played his best game since the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
100% agree.
In the NFC Championship game, right? What a moment to suddenly turn in your best performance for 2 years. If he can repeat a performance like that this weekend, then that's huge for them. But I'll tell you what's fascinating when you talked about Jalen Carter, to flip kind of to the 2 sides. The only 2 times I ever saw any wavering from Chiefs last night, any moment where there was a little intake of breath, a widening of the eyes, just those little imperceptible bits of body language that make you go, yeah, I'm a little worried about that. We're speaking to Centre Creed Humphrey about Jalen Carter when I was like, does it help that you go up against Chris Jones every day? Is that any way going to help you? And when I spoke to both Leo Chenal and Drew Tranquill about trying to tackle Saquon Barkley, trying to stop that man in the open field, Leo Chenal basically said he's untackleable one-on-one. You have to have other guys floating to the ball. You have to have at least 2 guys around you. You have to be
in the open field. We could talk about all this stuff, but maybe in the end, does it not come? How do you contain Saquon Barkley in the open field when he's breaking 60-yard runs? You can stop it. He reminds me of Barry Sanders, except Barry Sanders would scamper all over the place and he'd wear you down. He was so fast you'd find a crease. Saquon Barkley, he's going to cut right. He's going to make one plant. He's going to go, and he's gone. He is absolutely gone. You don't see that in the NFL anymore in this quarterback, non-running back era. He is the game. He is the game changer. If the Chiefs' defense cannot contain him for 4 quarters, and the Chiefs' offense cannot properly protect Patrick Mahomes, Eagles are winning the Super Bowl.
Grant Castleterra, the Eagles tight end, yesterday told us that the view of 26 streaking off down the field past you after you've hit a block is the greatest thing you can possibly live for. I'm like, well, I'd like to ask your wife and kids about that, Grant. But
and the Eagles are hungry. So I love these observations, kind of the reporter part of it. Nick Sirianni, who I've gone back and forth on, I also struggled to figure him out, and at one point he seemed like the weak link. He has got just a mountain. I said Boulder earlier. He's got a mountain on his shoulder. You can tell that he knows that people think that he holds them back, and he's almost been fired 10 times. He has to deal with the Philly media and the Philly fans, but he's also confident. I loved how he stuck up for Jalen Hurts after the NFC Championship game and said, I have no idea what anybody's talking about. This guy is exactly what we need. He is our quarterback. And when Jalen Hurts is that good, they can win the Super Bowl. When you have Saquon Barkley, they can win the Super Bowl. Nick Sirianni sounds like someone to me who wants to prove to everybody that, hey, I am a world championship coach, and I'm getting revenge, because they should have won that Super Bowl a couple years ago. Philly fans, one of the best fan bases in the world, they're going to be hungry on Sunday in the Superdome. There is so much at stake in this game. Normally, I feel like you build it up, and there's too much hype. You can't hype this game enough, Will. This is a huge, pivotal matchup.
I have to say, I do think it's the Coordinator Bowl. I know that's
that's a good one. Yeah,
I know that's quite specific, but you talked about Nick Sirianni, who's this great rah-rah guy, who's a sideline guy, who's very much a guy that if he's your coach, you love him. Well, maybe not the Philly fans as we've seen, but if you're any other team, you hate him because he just gets in people's faces.
Dave Spadaro, who we had on the rundown a couple weeks ago, the Eagles insider for the Philadelphia Eagles, he was saying the same thing. Like, other fans hate him. The Eagles love him. He is their type of coach.
But you saw it 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Lent heavily on the coordinators for the game plan. And you'll see this again this weekend. Kellen Moore, I think when they use pre-snap motion, which Nick Sirianni's generally been quite negative on, they've upped it massively this year, and it's helped their offense hugely. Vic Fangio, we've already talked about. And then the other guy I want to talk about, and we heard a lot about from guys yesterday, is Steve Spagnuolo.
Yeah.
Who...
Your buddy, you go way back with Steve Spagnuolo.
Well, that's only because he keeps winning Super Bowls, so we keep having conversations with him. But he very much a guy who, I use this phrase Fangio, but a head coach on that side of the ball, and a guy who just well into his 60s, loves throwing just the kitchen sink at you, coming up with new ways to be creative, coming up with new ideas, and I can't wait to see their game plan on Sunday. So look, I'm super hyped for both sides of the ball. I'm super hyped for this whole game. Are we going to see, one of the greatest of all time become the greatest team of all time?
The greatest team of all time.
I'm sorry, if they three-peat, it's the
over.
greatest team of all time.
Sorry, no Patriots, no 49ers, no Steelers, no Cowboys, no whatever. This will become the greatest team, and it is the NFL, so it's the greatest sports league in America. You become the greatest team of all time in American sports. Because, Will, they're doing this during the salary cap era. They're doing this during a time where they've had the Taylor Swift mania and everybody hating them and the bias and all these things to keep doing this and to win one-score game. That's the other thing. What if the Chiefs do this and they win by 2 points? They win by 1 point. They win in the final minute. Patrick Mahomes will be in tears. Travis Kelce will be in tears. Andy Reid, does Andy Reid walk away? If Travis Kelce's not going to walk away.
I think they're going for a 4-peat, 5-peat, 6-peat if they win this time. They want a double 3-peat.
They would feel like Michael Jordan's Bulls if Michael Jordan didn't go play minor league baseball for a couple years. It would be absolute dominance, which you can't do in the NFL. Well, you win one and you're not back for 5 more years. It's unbelievable what they've been able to do.
Look, a sensational matchup on Sunday. You'll be able to not only hear the game on talkSPORT, you'll be able to watch it live on our YouTube channel, our live commentary. You'll also be able to watch it live on our CTV channels. If you've got it on your smart TV, if you've not downloaded that app yet, go and get it because so much great content going on there.
TalkSPORT.com. We've literally got 10,000 articles at TalkSPORT.com. Our Facebook page, endless content coming from London in New Orleans.
So get involved. There's so much great NFL stuff out there. So many great videos. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that great stuff. We're going to keep having fun here in New Orleans and bringing you some great content. You just get to sit there and enjoy it. This has been The Rundown. Thank you so much for joining us.